Imagine cruising at 40,000 feet in a custom-built, $40 million private jet, surrounded by 24-karat gold-plated sinks, world-renowned private chefs, and a cabin filled with A-list celebrities. For T.I., the self-proclaimed king of the South, this isn't a fantasy. This is his daily reality. This is the ultimate tour flex, the kind of mind-numbing luxury that makes other multi-millionaire rappers look completely broke. But what if I told you that every single piece of this blinding, diamond-encrusted lifestyle is a terrifying illusion? What if the man who built the grand hustle empire is currently trapped in the most dangerous, high-stakes financial nightmare of his entire life? Right now, as T.I. smiles for the cameras in his customized leather aviation seats, a dark, terrifying reality is breathing down his neck. The repo men are literally waiting on the tarmac. Betrayal, forged signatures, and a devastating financial secret kept from his own wife, Tiny, are about to detonate everything they've built. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly why this $40 million flex is about to become the most catastrophic downfall in hip-hop history. You are absolutely not ready for this. To truly understand the catastrophic explosion that is currently rocking the grand hustle empire, we have to peel back the layers of the flawless, diamond-studded facade that Clifford T.I., Harris, and Tamika Tiny Harris have spent decades building. For years, they have sold us the ultimate hip-hop fairy tale. Think about it. They survived multiple federal prison stints, explosive weapons charges, intense public scrutiny, and infidelity rumors that would have destroyed any normal marriage. Through it all, they built an image of untouchable wealth, unshakable resilience, and absolute Southern royalty. When you think of Atlanta hip-hop, you think of the king. And a king, as T.I. has always made painfully clear, must travel and live like absolute royalty. They gave us the family hustle, projecting an image of a wealthy, secure, and unbreakable family dynasty to millions of viewers worldwide. But the rap industry is a vicious, unforgiving, and bloodthirsty beast. It is a world where your relevance is directly tied to your visible, liquid wealth. In today's hyperdigital era, where 20-year-old rappers are flashing 8-figure bank accounts and buying matching Lamborghinis for their entourages, the pressure to keep up is suffocating. If you aren't flying private, you are falling off. If you aren't dropping millions on a tour flex that breaks the internet, the new generation will eat you alive and leave your legacy in the dust. T.I. has always known this brutal truth. The psychological pressure to maintain this untouchable, billionaire aesthetic has been silently crushing him for years. His ego, the very thing that made him a superstar, has mutated into his greatest vulnerability. Behind closed doors, the cracks in the grand hustle empire have been spiderwebbing for over a decade. We all remember the glaring red flags that the media tried to warn us about. We remember the devastating IRS tax liens that threatened to swallow them whole. We remember the endless string of lawsuits, the highly publicized restaurant closures, and the furious unpaid employees who went straight to the press claiming the Harris family was secretly bleeding cash. But every single time the walls seemed to violently close in, T.I. managed to hustle his way out. He would secure a lucrative new reality television deal, sign a fresh brand partnership, or announce a massive nationwide tour to inject much-needed cash into his hemorrhaging bank accounts. He convinced everyone around him, and perhaps dangerously, he convinced himself that he was completely invincible. He believed he could outsmart the system forever. He treated multi-million-dollar debts like minor inconveniences, always betting on his next big payday to wipe the slate clean. It was a terrifying high-wire act, juggling millions in the air while the ground below was rapidly crumbling. Think about what Tiny has sacrificed for this man. When T.I. was locked behind bars, stripped of his freedom and his crown, it was Tiny who held the empire together. She was the anchor. She defended him against the ruthless media, managed the household, and protected their brand from total annihilation. She stood by him when the whole world told her to walk away. Her loyalty is legendary in the hip-hop community. That is exactly what makes this impending disaster so sickeningly cruel. Tiny believed they had finally reached the finish line. She believed the days of looking over their shoulders, dodging the feds, and hiding from creditors were finally over. She thought this private jet was a symbol of their ultimate victory. She had no idea she was sitting inside a $40 million flying death trap for their finances. This latest stunt? This mind-blowing $40 million customized private jet that he has been aggressively flaunting on his newest nationwide tour? This was not a celebration of success. This was not the reward of a seasoned veteran enjoying the fruits of his labor. It was a desperate, panicked, and unhinged maneuver to prove to the world that the King of the South was still reigning supreme. It was an ego trip on a scale we have literally never witnessed before. T.I. needed the world to look up at the sky and know he was untouchable. He needed the validation. He needed the flex. What the public did not know, and what is about to send shockwaves through the entire entertainment industry, is that even his closest inner circle was completely blind to the lethal, toxic deal he signed in secret to get that plane off the ground. The history of T.I.'s financial juggling act was a ticking time bomb, and this massive aviation purchase was the detonator. He crossed a line that you simply cannot come back from. The past conflicts and IRS battles were absolute child's play compared to the hellfire he has just invited into his family's life. He didn't just borrow money. He danced with the devil. And in his blinding obsession to keep up appearances, he kept the most sickening secret of all from the one person who has always had his back. The untouchable king is about to be violently dethroned, and the fall from 40,000 feet is going to be absolutely devastating. Get ready, because the true cost of this ultimate tour flex is about to be exposed, and it is going to rip the grand hustle empire to shreds. Let me paint you a picture of absolute, unhinged excess. The scene inside T.I.'s $40 million jet during the opening week of his new tour was something straight out of a chaotic Hollywood movie. According to explosive insider leaks from a former flight attendant who was abruptly fired after witnessing too much, the demands on this aircraft were completely psychotic. We're talking about custom gold-plated fixtures throughout the entire cabin, 24-karat gold-plated sinks in the lavatory, and world-renowned private chefs flying alongside the entourage to prepare 5-course gourmet meals at a moment's notice. The interior was completely wrapped in custom Italian leather, with T.I.'s signature Grand Hustle logo hand-stitched into every single headrest. The ambience was pure, unadulterated hedonism. The lighting was set to a deep, moody neon purple as exotic models and high-profile celebrities downed $1,000 bottles of Ace of Spades champagne. High-stakes poker games were happening on custom magnetic tables in the center of the cabin, with hundreds of thousands of dollars in hard cash changing hands at 40,000 feet. T.I. was acting like a man who had $1 billion liquid sitting in a Swiss bank account. He was pacing the aisle, laughing, pouring drinks, completely treating the sky like his personal playground. He demanded the jet be kept idling on the runway for 7 hours straight before takeoff, just so the cabin temperature was perfectly chilled to his liking the exact second he stepped on board, the leaked Reddit thread from the former flight attendant exposed. He was burning through an estimated $15,000 in jet fuel a day just waiting around on the tarmac. It was pure madness, a level of waste that didn't make any sense. But while the champagne flowed and the bragging Instagram stories were being uploaded to impress his millions of followers, a terrifying, suffocating reality was choking T.I. behind the closed doors of the cockpit. Here is the absolute, heart-stopping truth that T.I. tried to bury at all costs. He does not own that $40 million jet. He never did. According to explosive leaked financial documents acquired by deep web industry insiders, the jet is tied to a highly predatory, aggressively lethal lease agreement funded by a notorious, shadowy private equity syndicate. This wasn't a standard corporate bank loan. Mainstream banks stopped lending T.I. this kind of capital years ago due to his chaotic financial history and massive tax liens. This was backdoor, underground financing with exorbitant, knee-breaking interest rates and aggressive penalty clauses. And T.I. had just defaulted on the third massive, multi-million-dollar lease payment in a row. The tension on the jet finally snapped during a high-altitude flight from Atlanta to Las Vegas. Witnesses report that T.I. received an encrypted satellite phone call mid-flight that completely drained the color from his face. The music was killed instantly. The models and members of the entourage were aggressively shoved into the back cabin by private security. T.I. was heard screaming frantically into the receiver, his voice cracking with sheer panic. "I told you I'll have the wire initiated by Tuesday. You can't ground me now. Do you know who I am? I have a sold-out arena show tonight." But the syndicate wasn't playing games anymore. To prove their absolute dominance, they did something completely unprecedented and terrifying. They remotely hacked the jet's internal Wi-Fi, entertainment, and non-essential communication systems midair. The lighting in the cabin suddenly cut to black, replaced by flashing red emergency override indicators. The pilot's encrypted terminal lit up with a direct, lethal message from the ground: "Reroute to the nearest private airstrip immediately. The asset is officially being repossessed. Any defiance will result in international aviation tracking alerts and federal law enforcement intervention upon landing." Imagine the absolute, crushing humiliation. The self-proclaimed king of the South, surrounded by his hand-picked entourage, models, and tour managers, being held hostage in the sky by a ruthless repo agency. The flight was forced to alter its course, dropping altitude rapidly over the desert. T.I. was in a state of absolute hysteria, realizing that if this plane landed at a random airstrip and his entourage saw him evicted from his own private jet, his reputation, his brand, and his ego would be completely destroyed forever. He needed a miracle, and he needed it before the wheels touched the desert tarmac. He desperately called his financial managers, screaming for them to find a loophole, a way to wire an emergency $250,000 holding fee just to convince the syndicate to let the pilot land in Las Vegas as planned. But his managers gave him the most devastating news of all. His corporate accounts were frozen, and his liquid cash was completely depleted. He had absolutely nothing left to give. Now, hold your breath, because here is the earth-shattering first twist that makes this nightmare 10 times worse than anyone could have ever predicted. Where did T.I. get that emergency $250,000 while stranded at 40,000 feet? How did he stop the plane from being seized right then and there? In a moment of sheer, unadulterated desperation and blind panic, insider sources claim T.I. bypassed his wealth management team entirely. He used his personal master key codes to digitally access a heavily guarded, ironclad joint trust fund. This wasn't just any regular business account. This was a strictly locked, untouchable trust fund that was established years ago for one sole purpose: securing the academic and financial future of his and Tiny's children. It was money meant for his kids' college educations, their future businesses, and their generational security. T.I. broke the digital seal, breached the trust, and drained his own children's secure financial future, wiring the $250,000 straight to the Shadow Syndicate just to keep a rented luxury jet from being seized on an active runway. The betrayal is absolutely unimaginable. The king didn't just mismanage his money. He actively robbed his own flesh and blood just to fuel a fake flex for the internet. He prioritized a gold-plated illusion over the safety and security of his own children. Visual. The camera slowly zooms in on a dark screen as a faint, hollow heartbeat echoes in the background. A text graphic appears showing a fake bank transaction ledger. Trust account debit, minus $250,000. Status: forced override. The wire cleared just minutes before the pilot was forced to execute the emergency landing. The syndicate accepted the cash, lifted the remote override, and allowed the plane to continue its flight to Las Vegas. T.I. stepped off that plane in Vegas flashing a fake smile for the cameras, acting like everything was completely normal. But the dark truth was out. The foundation of his entire life had just been corrupted by his own hands. The trust was broken, the money was gone, and the Shadow Syndicate now knew exactly how desperate the king of the South really was. They knew they owned him. And as the tour bus rolled toward the arena, a massive storm was brewing online and at home. T.I. thought he bought himself time, but in reality, he had just accelerated his own destruction. You cannot contain a scandal this massive in the digital age. The reinforced walls of the $40 million jet couldn't keep the explosion from reaching the ground. Within 48 hours of the Las Vegas tarmac incident, frantic whispers started flooding the darkest corners of industry group chats. Then, the dam broke completely. An anonymous, burner account on X, formerly Twitter, dropped a massive, heavily verified thread titled, "The King is Broke: How T.I. is Faking a $40 million Flex." The thread was an absolute bloodbath. It included heavily redacted screenshots of the Shadow Syndicate's repo orders, frantic text messages from fired flight attendants, and most terrifyingly, the actual flight logs showing the emergency reroute threats midair. The internet caught fire instantly. The hashtag repo tip immediately hit #1 trending worldwide, and the fallout was apocalyptic. T.I. went into full, panicked damage control. In a desperate bid to save face, he jumped on Instagram Live from the velvet-lined seats of the jet, aggressively fanning a stack of $100 bills and laughing forcefully. "Don't believe the hate, man. The hustle is grand. The blogs want to see me fall, but we soaring, you hear me?" he yelled to his 14 million followers. But sharp-eyed viewers noticed something absolutely chilling in the background of that live broadcast. Through the reinforced windows of the jet, standing directly on the tarmac, were 3 men in dark suits holding clipboards, flanked by armed private security. Repo agents. They were literally at the door while he was streaming. The live abruptly disconnected, and the internet lost its collective mind. Fans who had vehemently defended T.I. for years were left feeling disgusted and betrayed. Wait, so he's out here rapping about owning the city, but he's draining his own kids' trust fund for a plane? Fraud. Tweeted one viral user with over 150K retweets. Another fan wrote, "If you have to rob your children to look rich, you are the brokest man alive. Tiny needs to leave and take everything that's left." The Shade Room posted the clip of the abrupt live ending, and it amassed 50,000 comments in under an hour. But the most brutal reactions came from within the hip-hop industry itself. You know the rap game has absolutely zero mercy for weakness. 50 Cent, the undisputed, ruthless king of internet trolling, wasted 0 time smelling blood in the water. He posted a photoshopped image on Instagram of T.I. sitting in the middle seat of a cramped Spirit Airlines flight holding a fake steering wheel. The caption was lethal. "Damn homie. In high school you was the man homie. Airplane chart decreasing, get your money up. Stop playing with these loan sharks. Tiny, call me if you need a real jet." Man shrugging medium skin tone, the post garnered 3 million likes in 3 hours. Even Gucci Mane threw devastating subliminal shots, tweeting, "Real wealth is quiet. Fake wealth screams until the repo man knocks on the cockpit." The industry backlash isn't just internet jokes. It is actively destroying T.I.'s actual livelihood. Live Nation and independent tour promoters are allegedly in a state of sheer, unadulterated panic. Fake reports are circulating that 3 major arenas have already threatened to pull out of the tour entirely. Why? Because they are terrified the jet will be legally grounded and seized in another state, causing T.I. to miss shows and costing the promoters millions in catastrophic refunds. Nobody wants to insure his tour right now, an anonymous, high-level booking agent revealed in a leaked Clubhouse audio room. He is a massive, walking liability. If that syndicate pulls the plug, the tour is dead. The king is officially grounded. But all of the internet trolling and industry panic was merely a smokescreen for the true, devastating shockwave that was about to hit his own home. According to sources extremely close to the Harris family, Tiny was at their heavily guarded Atlanta estate when she received a red flag emergency alert from their primary wealth management firm. The alert wasn't just about the $250,000 drained from the children's trust. The wealth manager was legally obligated to reveal a secret that brought Tiny to her knees in agonizing, soul-crushing betrayal. To secure the lease on the $40 million jet in the first place, the underground syndicate required massive, hard collateral. T.I. had secretly put up the deed to their primary family mansion, the very estate they live in, and a property that Tiny legally co-owns. But how did he manage to hand over the deed without her knowing? He forged her signature. Yes, you heard that right. Insiders claim that in his blinding obsession to secure the ultimate tour flex, T.I. allegedly falsified Tiny's signature on the primary collateral documents. He literally gambled the roof over his family's head, placing their physical home directly into the hands of a ruthless shadow syndicate, all for a private jet to impress the internet. When Tiny realized the absolute depth of the betrayal, the estate erupted into chaos. Neighbors reported hearing screaming matches so intense that private security had to aggressively intervene. Tiny was sobbing uncontrollably, throwing his platinum plaques across the marble floors. A deeply connected source leaked to a major gossip blog. She screamed at him that he was an absolute fraud, that he traded their family's physical safety for his fragile, pathetic ego. She packed her bags, grabbed the kids, and left in the middle of the night. The king didn't just lose his money. He lost the queen who held him down through prison, poverty, and public humiliation. And he did it all for a gold-plated airplane he doesn't even own. But just when you think this story cannot possibly get any more chaotic, the universe drops a final twist that changes everything. Cornered, abandoned by his wife, and facing total financial ruin, T.I. made a desperate, reckless decision. Instead of facing the music, instead of surrendering the plane to the syndicate, he ordered his pilot to fly the $40 million jet completely off the grid. Flight trackers show the plane mysteriously turning off its transponders somewhere over the Atlantic. Hours later, the jet was spotted touching down not in Atlanta, not in Vegas, but on a heavily guarded, private airstrip somewhere in Dubai. T.I. was attempting to hide the multi-million-dollar asset in a foreign jurisdiction where U.S. repo laws couldn't touch him. It was a billionaire's game of hide-and-seek. But as the jet's engines powered down in the scorching desert heat, it wasn't the repo men who surrounded the plane. It was heavily armed, tactical international authorities. They breached the cabin by force, bypassing T.I. completely. They weren't there for the unpaid lease. They marched straight to the rear cargo hold and began tearing up the floorboards. What the hell is hidden underneath that jet? Show how social media is exploding over the drama. Include fake fan debates, celebrity reactions, and news reports. Create division between supporters and haters. End with a statement that fuels further controversy. Let's write it with extreme sensation. The fallout across social media and the entertainment industry has been absolutely apocalyptic. Within an hour of the news breaking that the $40 million jet had vanished off radar, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram turned into a raging digital war zone. The Grand Hustle brand is currently taking heavy artillery fire from all sides, and the internet is completely fractured. The hashtag #RepoTip immediately hit #1 trending worldwide, pulling in over 5 million mentions by midnight. Fans who had violently defended T.I. for decades are now waking up feeling betrayed and absolutely disgusted. Wait, so he's rapping about owning the city and being a real boss, but he's out here forging his wife's name to hide a plane from the repo man? Fraud, tweeted one viral user, gaining over 150,000 retweets in hours. Another fan wrote, "Draining the kids' trust fund is unforgivable. Tiny needs to leave and take everything that's left of Grand Hustle with her." But there is a massive counter-movement. Hardcore T.I. loyalists are flooding the Shade Room's comments, claiming this entire scandal is a highly coordinated federal takedown. Y'all really believe a billionaire syndicate just randomly hacked a plane? This is a targeted setup to destroy a powerful black mogul, argued one popular YouTube commentary channel, sparking a vicious, hours-long debate in the live chat. The most brutal reactions, however, came from the hip-hop industry itself. You know the rap game shows absolutely zero mercy for weakness. 50 Cent, the undisputed, ruthless king of internet trolling, smelled blood in the water instantly. He posted a photoshopped image on Instagram of T.I. sitting in the middle seat of a cramped Spirit Airlines flight, holding a fake plastic steering wheel. The caption was lethal. "Damn homie. In high school you was the man homie. Airplane chart decreasing, get your money up. Stop playing with these loan sharks. Tiny, call me if you need a real jet." Man shrugging, medium skin tone. The post garnered 3 million likes before breakfast. The mainstream news media is treating this like a Hollywood thriller. TMZ cameras are currently camped outside of T.I.'s Atlanta estate, capturing footage of moving trucks and heavily armed private security clashing with paparazzi. CNBC and Bloomberg are running segments analyzing the collapse of his financial portfolio, while Live Nation is allegedly in a state of sheer, unadulterated panic, privately threatening to cancel the remaining tour dates to avoid catastrophic multi-million-dollar liabilities. The public is completely divided. The industry is stepping back, and the walls are rapidly closing in. But what the fans, the trolls, and the news anchors don't realize is that the money, the forged signatures, and the repo men are just a massive smokescreen for something much, much darker that was waiting in the desert. As the heavy steel doors of the Dubai detention facility slammed shut behind T.I., the tactical teams on the runway finally pried open the welded metal plates beneath the private jet's luxury floorboards. What they dragged out into the blinding desert sun completely shattered the narrative of a simple financial default. It wasn't cash. It wasn't contraband. It was a highly classified, military-grade server stack containing fully encrypted, raw global transaction ledgers, files belonging directly to the international syndicate that funded the jet. The earth-shattering realization hit the authorities instantly. T.I. wasn't just a desperate debtor trying to keep up appearances. He was an asset. The syndicate didn't give him that $40 million jet because he qualified for a lease. They handed him the keys because a multi-platinum rap superstar flying across international borders on a private tour is the ultimate, untouchable camouflage. The jet was a rolling, high-altitude data vault moving trillions of dollars in unregulated, underground shadow funds right under the nose of the federal government. But here's the most terrifying, heart-stopping twist of all. According to a highly encrypted leak from a source deep inside the Dubai investigation, the biometric access logs required to decrypt those dark money servers didn't list T.I.'s fingerprints. They didn't list his face. The master digital key code was registered entirely to someone else. It was registered to Tiny, the queen who had supposedly walked out in absolute betrayal, the woman who claimed she knew nothing about the forged signatures or the stolen mansion deed, was secretly the primary administrative architect of the entire shadow operation. T.I. wasn't the mastermind. He was the shield, the loud, flashy distraction designed to take the fall while the real genius operated in total silence from the shadows of Atlanta. Right now, international intelligence agencies are preparing a massive, multi-nation sweep, and federal arrest warrants are being signed in Washington. The $40 million private jet lifestyle wasn't just a flex. It was the catalyst for an international conspiracy that is about to tear the entire music industry apart at the seams. T.I. is trapped in a foreign desert, Tiny has completely vanished from her safe house, and a massive federal raid is currently descending on the Grand Hustle headquarters. The screen cuts to a stark, glitching black. The empire hasn't just fallen. It was a trap from the very beginning, and the true mastermind is still out there. This is without a doubt the most explosive, devastating celebrity scandal we have ever witnessed, and the fallout is breaking in real time. We are actively monitoring our underground sources to find out exactly what happens to T.I. in Dubai and where Tiny is hiding. Do you think T.I. was completely set up as a flashy distraction, or did he know what was under those floorboards the entire time? Will Tiny outsmart the feds, or is the Grand Hustle family heading to federal prison for life? I need to hear from you right now. Drop your most brutal, honest theories in the comments section below. Is the King of the South officially finished? If your mind is absolutely blown by this dark reality, you need to smash that like button right now. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell because we are dropping the follow-up episode the second the leaked cargo encryption files hit our desk. You absolutely cannot afford to miss what comes next. Stay locked in, because this nightmare has just begun.